No one saw this coming. After years of explosive drama, iconic moments, and unforgettable confrontations, Love and Hip Hop might have just aired its final episode. And the reason behind this shocking end is tearing fans apart. Sources close to production have confirmed what many were whispering. A private feud between Rasheeda Frost and Yandy Smith has gone completely off the rails, and it's not just personal anymore, it's poisonous. Emotions ran high, voices were raised, and what started as a disagreement over loyalty and power spiraled into public humiliation, backstage chaos, and an all-out war that VH1 could no longer control. Leaked audio, deleted posts, and cast members picking sides. It's all out in the open now. But here's the kicker. Insiders claim that things got so toxic between Rasheeda and Yandy, the network pulled the plug without warning. The crew walked off, cameras were shut down mid-shoot, and key cast members refused to return. Fans are shocked. The industry is buzzing. And now everyone's asking the same thing. Is this really the end? Because if what we're hearing is true, Love and Hip Hop didn't just end. It died. And the battle that killed it, it's messier than anyone imagined. The tension between Rasheeda and Yandy had been simmering for months, but no one expected it to explode the way it did. What had once been a solid friendship, forged through years of ups and downs, was slowly deteriorating, and it all came to a head during a small, private gathering that was meant to be a relaxing evening away from the cameras. Little did anyone know, this gathering would set off a chain of events that would leave fans in shock and ultimately lead to the downfall of the entire Love and Hip Hop franchise. It all started with a comment that seemed innocent enough at first. The group was having dinner, and Rasheeda, who had been through so much drama with Kirk, joked, "I've got Kirk, he's the one that's really got my back." It wasn't a dig at Yandy, but in hindsight, it was the spark that ignited the fire. Yandy, who had been standing by Rasheeda through thick and thin, couldn't help but feel betrayed. She had always seen herself as Rasheeda's true friend, someone who had stuck by her even when things got tough. To hear that Kirk, who wasn't exactly known for his loyalty, was now being elevated above her, hit Yandy in a way she never anticipated. She tried to brush it off, thinking maybe it was just a careless comment, but deep down, she couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. The following days were tense. Yandy tried to talk to Rasheeda about how she felt, but each time she attempted to bring it up, Rasheeda would change the subject, as if nothing had happened. This only made things worse. Yandy's frustration grew, and the lack of communication between them became a glaring issue. What was once an open, honest friendship now felt like a cold war, with both women unwilling to address the underlying tension. Eventually, Yandy reached her breaking point. During a private meeting, she confronted Rasheeda about the situation. "I've been there for you, Rasheeda, through everything. But now I feel like you don't even see me as a friend anymore," Yandy said, her voice trembling with emotion. "How could you just push me aside like that?" She was hurt, and rightfully so. She had invested so much into their friendship, and now it felt like all of that had been dismissed in a single moment. Rasheeda, caught off guard by Yandy's emotions, struggled to come up with an answer. "Yandy, I didn't mean it like that," she said, her voice wavering. "You know I appreciate you, but Kirk's been here for me in ways that you don't understand. Maybe I just need him right now." The words didn't sit well with Yandy. They felt dismissive, like Rasheeda was choosing Kirk over their friendship. It was as if everything they had been through together didn't matter anymore. The confrontation was heated, but what happened next was even more shocking. Yandy, feeling the weight of Rasheeda's words, snapped. "So that's it. After everything we've been through, you're just going to throw me aside for Kirk." She shot back, her anger rising. "I thought we were sisters, but I guess I was wrong." The pain in Yandy's voice was palpable, and it was clear this wasn't just about Kirk. It was about the betrayal she felt from someone she considered family. Rasheeda's face hardened, and she quickly became defensive. "You're blowing this out of proportion," she retorted. "I'm not picking Kirk over you, but maybe you need to understand that not everything is about you. I'm dealing with my own stuff right now." But Yandy wasn't having it. The damage had been done, and no amount of excuses would fix it. "Maybe it never was about me," Yandy snapped back, her voice cold and sharp. The tension between the two women became unbearable. What had started as a small issue had now become a full-blown argument, and it was clear that their friendship was on the verge of collapse. But things didn't stop there. The fight between Yandy and Rasheeda was just the beginning of what would become a drama-filled season of love and hip-hop. The producers, sensing that the situation was spiraling out of control, tried to intervene. They hoped to mediate between the two women, but it was obvious that their rift was too deep to fix with a few cameras rolling. Meanwhile, the rest of the cast could feel the shift. The once harmonious group dynamic was now fractured, and it was becoming harder to ignore the palpable tension. No one knew where they stood anymore. The crew was walking on eggshells, unsure whether they were going to witness another argument or confrontation at any given moment. The rift between Yandy and Rasheeda had started to affect the entire production, and it was becoming clear that the show couldn't continue in its current form. The fans, too, felt the change. Social media exploded with reactions. Some fans sided with Yandy, sympathizing with her feelings of betrayal and hurt, while others took Rasheeda's side, understanding the weight of her relationship with Kirk. But no matter where fans stood, one thing was certain: the drama was real, and it was only getting worse. The public feud between Yandy and Rasheeda had become the talking point of the season, overshadowing everything else happening on the show. As the season progressed, it became evident that things weren't going to get better anytime soon. Every interaction between the two women felt strained, and their on-screen appearances became increasingly uncomfortable. Behind the scenes, whispers of a potential departure began to surface. Yandy had started to distance herself from the group, and rumors circulated that she was being offered her own spin-off show. Was she planning to leave love and hip-hop for good? The speculation only added to the drama, making the already tense situation even worse. The tension culminated in a final showdown during a group event, where the cast was forced to face each other in the same room. The cameras were rolling and the tension was thick. Yandy and Rasheeda exchanged barbed comments, each trying to outdo the other in terms of cutting remarks. The argument grew more heated, and it was clear that things were irreparable. The friendship was dead, and with it the last shred of the show's heart. The producers were left with a difficult decision. Could love and hip-hop survive without the central figures that had carried the show for years? Would fans continue to tune in if the core relationships were no longer intact? The question was on everyone's mind as the season finale loomed on the horizon. The fallout between Yandy and Rasheeda had taken on a life of its own. What had once been a minor disagreement between friends had spiraled into a full-blown public feud. And with every new episode, the tension between the two was becoming harder to ignore. Fans were caught in the middle of this clash, their loyalties torn between the two women who had been integral to the fabric of love and hip-hop for so long. Yandy, ever the strategist, had always been someone who knew how to play the game. She had built her career on navigating tricky situations, whether it was in her personal life or on the show. She had always been the one to keep a cool head, even when others were losing their temper. But this time, it was different. The betrayal she felt from Rasheeda cut deeper than anything she had experienced before. The bond they had shared was no longer there, replaced by a simmering bitterness that was hard to ignore. And the worst part? Yandy couldn't understand how it had all gone wrong. She had always been there for Rasheeda, through thick and thin. So why was she suddenly the villain? It wasn't just Yandy who was struggling with the fallout. Rasheeda was going through her own emotional turmoil. She had always prided herself on being a loyal wife to Kirk and a supportive friend to Yandy. But with everything that was happening, she couldn't help but feel torn. Kirk, her husband, had been dealing with his own issues, and now the stress from the conflict with Yandy was pushing her to her limits. She had tried to keep it together for the sake of her family and her career, but everything was unraveling in front of her eyes. And it didn't help that the cameras were constantly in their faces, capturing every moment of this private struggle. For Rasheeda, the weight of the situation was becoming unbearable. As much as she wanted to fix things with Yandy, she couldn't ignore the fact that she had a family to take care of. Kirk's constant drama, the pressure to maintain her brand, and the conflict with Yandy were all contributing to her feeling like she was about to snap. She had always tried to be the glue that held everything together, but now it felt like everything was falling apart. And the worst part? She didn't know how to stop it. The situation only worsened when Yandy posted a cryptic message on social media. She had always been careful with her words, but in the heat of the moment, she let her emotions take over. "You can't expect loyalty when you've been betrayed," the post read. Fans immediately began speculating that the message was aimed at Rasheeda, and it set off a chain reaction. The comments section blew up with people taking sides, with some fans siding with Yandy and others defending Rasheeda. It was clear that the drama was now at a boiling point, and there was no turning back. The producers, sensing an opportunity to capitalize on the drama, pushed for a face-to-face confrontation between Yandy and Rasheeda. They knew that the tension between the two women could lead to the kind of explosive scene that would keep viewers coming back for more. But what they didn't expect was just how emotional and raw the confrontation would become. The day of filming arrived, and both Yandy and Rasheeda were hesitant to meet each other. It wasn't just the cameras that made the situation uncomfortable. It was the real emotions that they both felt. Yandy had always been the one to keep her emotions in check, but today she was struggling. Her face was tight with anger, her lips pressed in a thin line. She was ready to confront Rasheeda. But there was something else there too, hurt. Deep, painful hurt that she hadn't allowed herself to feel until now. Rasheeda, on the other hand, looked exhausted. Her face was pale, her eyes red from crying the night before. She had never imagined that things would escalate to this point. She had always been a peacemaker, someone who tried to avoid conflict whenever possible. But now it seemed like she had no choice but to face the woman she had once called a friend. The weight of the situation was taking a toll on her, and she wasn't sure how much longer she could keep it together. As they sat down to talk, the tension in the air was palpable. "I don't even know where to start," Yandy said, her voice shaky. "I've been nothing but loyal to you, Rasheeda. And yet, here we are. You shut me out, ignored my calls, and acted like I don't matter anymore. Do you have any idea how that feels?" Rasheeda sighed deeply, her voice barely above a whisper. "Yandy, I never meant for things to go this far," she said. "But you have to understand, I have a family to think about. Kirk has been going through a lot, and I can't just drop everything to focus on this. I've tried to balance everything, but it's been hard. I didn't want to hurt you, but I can't keep pretending like everything is fine." Yandy's eyes flashed with frustration. "You think this is just about you? I'm not asking you to drop everything, Rasheeda. I'm asking you to stop pretending like I'm the enemy. You've been shutting me out for weeks, and I can't just sit back and watch it happen. I've had your back through everything, and now, when I need you, you turn your back on me." The words hung in the air, heavy with the weight of everything unsaid. Both women were struggling to keep their composure, but it was clear that the raw emotion between them was spilling over. The cameras captured every moment, every tear, every word spoken. But this wasn't just drama for the sake of drama, it was real. And it was clear that neither of them knew how to fix what had been broken. The rest of the scene played out in a blur of emotions. The argument grew more heated, with both women raising their voices, accusations flying. They were no longer speaking in the calm, controlled manner they were used to. They were shouting, crying, and, for the first time, showing the full extent of the pain they had been hiding. It was like the dam had broken, and there was no way to stop the flood of emotions that followed. In the midst of all this chaos, Kirk, who had been watching the confrontation unfold from the sidelines, made his presence known. "This isn't the time, Yandy," he said, stepping into the frame. "Rasheeda has been dealing with a lot, and you need to understand that. We're family. We don't just throw everything away over one argument." Yandy, her face flushed with anger, shot back, "You think I don't know that? You think I don't know what she's been going through? But you're not the one who's been cut out of her life. You're not the one who's been abandoned." The tension between the three of them was unbearable, and it was clear that the future of love and hip-hop was hanging in the balance. This wasn't just another dramatic moment. It was a turning point for the show. With their relationships on the line, the question remained, could they repair what had been broken, or was this the final chapter in a story that had captivated millions? As the confrontation between Yandy, Rasheeda, and Kirk continued to escalate, the stakes were higher than ever. Cameras rolled, capturing every angry word, every tear, every moment of pure emotion that was unfolding in front of millions of viewers. But this wasn't just about drama for the sake of entertainment. This was the raw, unfiltered breakdown of relationships that had once seemed unbreakable. The situation was now more than just a private conflict. It was a public spectacle, and with every passing second, it felt like love and hip-hop was on the verge of an irreversible collapse. Rasheeda, exhausted from the emotional toll of the argument, could feel the weight of her actions sinking in. She had always been the one who kept the peace, who tried to smooth over the rough patches in her relationships. But today, nothing was being smoothed over. Nothing was being fixed. Everything was unraveling. "I didn't want this to happen, Yandy," she said, her voice soft but filled with pain. "I didn't want to hurt you. I never thought we'd get here." Yandy's expression softened for a moment, but the bitterness in her heart was still too fresh for her to let go of the anger. "Then why did you push me away, Rasheeda? Why did you shut me out when I needed you the most?" Yandy's voice cracked as she spoke, the hurt she had been suppressing finally breaking through. "I've always been there for you, through everything. And now you're telling me that all of that doesn't matter." The camera zoomed in on Yandy's face as she wiped away a tear. The emotions were raw, and the audience could feel the depth of her pain. But it wasn't just Yandy who was hurting. Rasheeda was struggling just as much. "You have to understand," Rasheeda said, her voice trembling. "I've got so much going on in my life right now. Kirk's been going through things, and I can't just drop everything for this. I'm torn between being a good wife and a good friend, and right now I don't know how to do either." Kirk, who had been silently watching the entire exchange, stepped in again, this time with a look of frustration on his face. "You can't keep blaming everything on me, Rasheeda," he said, his voice firm but filled with tension. "I'm here trying to support you, but you've been shutting me out too. I've been dealing with my own stuff, and you know that. This isn't just on me." Rasheeda turned to Kirk, her eyes pleading for understanding. "Kirk, I've been holding everything together for us, for our family. I've been trying to balance everything, but I can't keep doing it alone. I'm not asking for sympathy, but I need you to see what I'm going through. I'm breaking down, and you're not here." The argument had reached a fever pitch, and it felt like the tension in the room could snap at any moment. The entire set was filled with an uncomfortable silence as everyone watched the family dynamics play out before them. Yandy, still hurt by Rasheeda's words and actions, stood up and began pacing, her frustration palpable. "Do you even care about how I'm feeling right now?" Yandy asked, her voice trembling with emotion. "You've been distant, and now you're telling me that you've been struggling too. It's not just about you, Rasheeda. I've been dealing with my own stuff. I've been there for you every step of the way, and this is what I get." Rasheeda, who had been holding it together as best as she could, finally broke down. Tears streamed down her face as she collapsed into a chair, her emotions overwhelming her. "I don't know what to do anymore, Yandy. I don't know how to fix this. I don't know how to fix me." It was a painful moment of vulnerability that no one had expected to see. The strong, confident women who had always been the pillars of their respective families were now exposed in their rawest forms, completely unraveling before the cameras. For the first time, it seemed like neither of them knew what to do next. The damage was done, and the emotional scars were deep. This wasn't just a fight between friends. It was a breaking point for everything they had built, both on and off the screen. The fans who had been following this drama closely were now left in shock. They had been invested in the journey of Yandy, Rasheeda, and Kirk for years, watching them navigate the ups and downs of their personal lives. But this was something no one had anticipated. The betrayal, the heartbreak, the tears, it was all too much. Fans flooded social media, sharing their disbelief and anger over what was happening. Many of them took sides, defending their favorite stars, but others were left questioning whether love and hip-hop could ever come back from this. The producers of the show, who had been watching the drama unfold, knew that this moment was pivotal. It wasn't just about the ratings or the drama, it was about the future of the show itself. If Yandy and Rasheeda couldn't mend their broken friendship, then what did that mean for the show? Love and hip-hop had always thrived on the relationships and the drama between its stars, but now it seemed like the cracks were too deep to repair. The audience could feel the tension, and the producers knew that something needed to change. This was no longer just a show. It was a ticking time bomb, and the producers were powerless to stop it. In the following days, the drama continued to escalate. Yandy and Rasheeda were still at odds, their social media accounts filled with cryptic posts and passive-aggressive comments. The fans continued to speculate about the future of love and hip-hop, with many wondering if this could be the end of the series. The producers, sensing the mounting pressure, called for an emergency meeting with the cast to discuss the future of the show. No one knew what would come out of that meeting, but one thing was clear: the tension was reaching a boiling point, and no one could predict how it would end. As the episode drew to a close, the future of love and hip-hop hung in the balance. The once unbreakable bonds between Yandy, Rasheeda, and Kirk had been shattered, and the emotional fallout was just beginning. Fans were left wondering, would the women be able to heal their wounds and restore their friendships, or was this the end of an era for the beloved franchise? Only time would tell. The weeks following the confrontation between Yandy and Rasheeda were filled with chaos, as the fallout spread through the entire Love and hip-hop cast and beyond. The emotional wreckage left in the wake of their public fallout was not just felt by the two women, it affected everyone around them. Friends, family, and fans alike were left questioning whether the drama could be salvaged, or if this was the irreversible end of a long-running series. In the aftermath of the heated confrontation, both Yandy and Rasheeda took to social media to share their sides of the story, but their attempts to clarify things only seemed to make the situation worse. Yandy posted a message on her Instagram, claiming that she had been nothing but loyal to Rasheeda, only to be betrayed in the worst way possible. Sometimes the people you trust the most are the ones who hurt you the deepest, Yandy wrote in her post, adding a string of hashtags that made it clear just how deeply hurt she was. Rasheeda's response was no less emotional, but it came with an edge of defiance. "I never asked for this drama," she wrote. "I've always been there for Yandy. I never thought she would turn on me like this. I guess I was wrong." With those words, the wounds between the two women seemed to deepen, and the already fragile bridge between them began to crumble. Both women were now playing a dangerous game of emotional chess, each trying to outdo the other with cryptic messages and passive-aggressive posts. Meanwhile, Kirk, who had been caught in the middle of this drama, found himself facing a whirlwind of criticism from fans. Many blamed him for not being more supportive of Rasheeda during this difficult time, while others accused him of contributing to the divide between the two women. Kirk, who had always been one to stay out of public disputes, found himself thrust into the spotlight once again. He did his best to defend himself, but the damage was done. Fans began to question whether Kirk's actions were to blame for the unraveling of Rasheeda's friendship with Yandy, and whether he had secretly been undermining their relationship all along. The cast of Love and Hip-Hop was now split into two factions. One side supported Yandy, while the other side backed Rasheeda. The division was clear, and the tension on set was palpable. During filming, producers began to notice a shift in the dynamics. The once close friendships were now fractured, and the mood on set had become increasingly hostile. Everyone was walking on eggshells, afraid that a simple wrong move would reignite the drama. It was clear that this conflict was too deep to resolve in a single episode, and it was beginning to feel like the show might not survive the aftermath. The producers were in crisis mode, trying to figure out how to salvage the show. Ratings had started to dip, and the viewers' attention was shifting away from the original storylines to the real-life drama that was unfolding. Fans were no longer just watching Love and Hip-Hop, they were living it. They were caught up in the emotional roller coaster of the cast members' personal lives, and the line between reality and entertainment had become increasingly blurred. In an attempt to quell the growing unrest, the producers brought Yandy and Rasheeda together for an on-camera meeting, hoping that the two women could come to some sort of agreement. But when the cameras rolled, it was clear that things were far from being patched up. "I'm done trying to fix this," Yandy said, her voice cold and distant. "There's no point in pretending anymore. If this is how it's going to be, then I don't want to be a part of it." Rasheeda's face tightened, her eyes narrowing as she stared at Yandy. "You're the one who walked away first," Rasheeda retorted, her voice full of accusation. "I tried to make things right, but you kept pushing me away. Now you're acting like the victim? That's rich." The meeting ended in silence, with neither woman willing to make the first move toward reconciliation. The rest of the cast, who had been observing from the sidelines, exchanged nervous glances. Everyone knew that the show couldn't go on like this for much longer. The emotional toll it was taking on everyone involved was beginning to show. What had once been a fun, entertaining, and drama-filled reality show was now becoming an exhausting, toxic environment where no one seemed safe from the fallout. Outside of the show, fans were devastated by the drama. Many had invested years into watching the journeys of Yandy, Rasheeda, Kirk, and the rest of the Love and Hip Hop cast. To see the relationships they had grown to love fall apart in such a public and brutal way left many feeling betrayed. They flooded social media, expressing their disappointment and sadness. "I can't believe this is happening," one fan tweeted. "I've been watching Love and Hip Hop for years, and now it's all falling apart. This is so messed up." As the weeks passed, the tension continued to build. Behind the scenes, producers worked tirelessly to figure out a way to keep the show afloat. But with every passing day, the reality set in. Love and Hip Hop, as fans knew it, was on the brink of collapse. The emotional devastation caused by the Yandy-Rasheeda feud had torn apart the fabric of the show, and it seemed like there was no way to put it all back together. In a last-ditch effort to salvage the show, producers made the decision to bring in outside help. They enlisted a mediator to sit down with Yandy, Rasheeda, and Kirk in an attempt to ease the tension and find a way forward. But even that meeting ended in failure. Emotions ran high, accusations were thrown, and the wounds of betrayal were too deep to heal in a single conversation. It was clear that the conflict between Yandy and Rasheeda was something that could not be easily fixed. And then, in a shocking twist, it was announced that Love and Hip Hop would be going on an indefinite hiatus. The producers, after months of trying to salvage the show, made the difficult decision to pause production, citing the toxic atmosphere and the unresolvable conflict between the cast members. It was a devastating blow for the show's loyal fans, who had followed the drama for years. As the news spread, social media erupted with reactions. Fans were torn, some in disbelief, others in mourning. "Is this the end of Love and Hip Hop?" One fan wrote, "I never thought it would come to this. This show was everything." The internet was flooded with messages of support for the cast members, but also frustration with how things had spiraled out of control. Many felt that the producers had let the drama get out of hand, and that they should have done more to prevent the situation from escalating. For Yandy, Rasheeda, and Kirk, the future was uncertain. Their personal lives were now irrevocably altered, and the once thriving Love and Hip Hop empire had crumbled under the weight of their emotional turmoil. It was the end of an era, and as the cameras stopped rolling, the stars were left to pick up the pieces of their shattered relationships. What started as a show full of drama, love, and complex relationships has now become a public spectacle that no one could have anticipated. With Yandy and Rasheeda's public feud now out in the open, and Kirk caught in the middle of it all, it's clear that Love and Hip Hop will never be the same. Fans have been left devastated by the breakdown of these once strong bonds, questioning whether the show can ever recover from such a catastrophic fallout. But the biggest question remains: what's next for the future of Love and Hip Hop? Is this the end of the beloved franchise, or is there still a chance for reconciliation? While we don't have all the answers, one thing is for certain: The world will be watching closely to see if Yandy, Rasheeda, and Kirk can overcome this dramatic turning point in their lives. What do you think about the shocking developments in the love and hip-hop world? Do you think the show can bounce back from this, or is this truly the end? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to stay updated on the latest developments. Stay tuned for more exclusive updates right here, only on our channel.